By 1939, death is struggling to keep up. The machinery of Nazi Germany is spinning faster, and the sheer volume of souls requires a distraction. He looks for colors in the sky. Occasionally, he looks at the survivors. He finds his focus beside a frozen railway line. A young girl named Liesel Memminger is standing by her brother's fresh grave. Before she leaves, she digs into the snow and pockets a small black object left behind by an apprentice gravedigger, the Gravedigger's Handbook. The girl is completely illiterate. She stares at the print inside with no idea what it says. She has stolen a manual she cannot even decipher. Yet, in a country where language dictates who lives and who dies, claiming a book you cannot read is a foundational act of rebellion. An orphan taking a book from the snow sets the baseline for her survival. While the military expands the borders, the regime is redesigning the minds of its citizens. They are suffocating the country in specific symbols and a tightly regulated vocabulary. To enforce this single narrative, opposing ideas must be physically eradicated. The state gathers the public in town squares to watch as literature is dumped into massive piles and burned, replacing individual thought with collective cheering and smoke. This creates a conveyor belt of propaganda. Children are funneled into the Hitler Youth, taught to march and trained to use a rigid, unified vocabulary. The public is fed a single diet of words to ensure everyone operates on the same unquestioning logic. This creates a trap. Remaining illiterate leaves you passive and defenseless against the radio broadcasts, but seeking out forbidden books is an act of treason. Liesel finds an antidote in the middle of the night. Her foster father, Hans Huberman, pulls out the stolen Gravedigger's Manual, and they sketch letters onto the back of sandpaper. He teaches her the alphabet, giving her the tools to dismantle her own ignorance. Then, the danger arrives in person. A Jewish fistfighter named Max Vandenberg reaches their door, seeking refuge. The Hubermans conceal him in their basement, a secret that carries the constant threat of execution for the entire family. Max travels to Himmel Street holding a copy of Mein Kampf, the book demanding his death. Once in the basement, he deconstructs it. He tears out the pages and coats them in thick white paint, burying the dictator's text under a blank canvas. On those dried white pages, Max begins to write. He sketches himself surviving. He imagines standing in a boxing ring, fighting the Führer round after round in the dark, maintaining his grip on his own name. In this cellar, the regime's strategy is reversed. By overwriting state propaganda with their own intimate stories, Liesel and Max disable the primary weapon used to erase them. Max writes an allegory called The Word Shaker. It describes a nation where the Führer planted vast forests of ugly words to keep citizens in fearful obedience. These words grow into towering trees that shadow everyone below. But the story tells of a girl who plants a single seed of friendship. It grows into a tree that the state's soldiers hack at for months, yet they cannot make a single bite in the trunk. Liesel begins to live out this allegory. She slips through the window of the local mayor's library to take volumes of forbidden literature. She is no longer just a victim of the state's words. She is actively stealing them back. When Allied bombers eventually force the neighborhood into a concrete shelter, the residents sit in paralyzed terror. To study them, Liesel opens a book and reads aloud, her voice holding the room together against the sirens outside. The power dynamic has shifted. Language, previously used as a mechanism of mass terror, is now a localized tool for keeping a neighborhood sane. No amount of reading can stop a bombing run. Late one night, the sirens fail to ring. Planes drop their payloads over Himmel Street, and the neighborhood is erased in its sleep. Death arrives to find a mountain of rubble. He collects the souls of everyone Liesel loves, her foster parents and her best friend, Rudy. There is one survivor. Liesel was awake when the bombs fell, sitting in the basement with a pencil and a blank book, writing down the story of her own life. The basement ceiling held. Because she stayed up to read, and because she needed a place to write her own history, the rebel stayed above her. The words provided literal, physical shelter. Death is left bewildered. He cannot reconcile the human capacity for engineered slaughter with our capacity for empathy. Liesel captures this contradiction in the notebook she leaves behind. Her final thought on the language that defined her life: I have hated the words and I have loved them, and I hope I've made them right. Language is a neutral tool. It can construct a mountain of rubble, but when forged into human connection, it proves to death that humanity is worth the effort.